Welcome to this explainer. If you're watching this right now, there's a really good chance you're carrying a heavy weight. Finding out your kid is being pushed around, excluded, or dealing with nasty rumors, man, it's a terrifying, heart-dropping moment. It really is. And as a parent, your very first instinct is just fix it, right? Throw a protective shield around your kid and stop the pain literally right this second. Well, today we're going to walk through this together. We're looking at the research and guidance on peer bullying to figure out the absolutely safest, most effective way to protect your child.
So when you hear your child is hurting, your first thought is probably exactly this. I just need to talk to the parents, we can fix this. You immediately reach for your phone, you figure, hey, we're two reasonable adults, we can just have a calm conversation and sort this whole thing out. I want to tell you right now, that reaction, it comes purely from deep, primal love. It's totally normal. You are a fierce protector. But as we're going to see, relying on that gut instinct might not actually be the best way to keep your kids safe.
Section 1. The urge to protect. Moving from instinct to strategy.
Okay, so we have to gently step back here. We really need to realize that bullying isn't just a standard playground misunderstanding. When two friends squabble over a toy, an adult chat can totally work wonders. But bullying? It's fundamentally different. It involves unfair power differences, repeated harm, and usually some pretty intense group pressure. Because those dynamics are so uneven, the normal rules of conflict resolution they don't apply. There's a massive disconnect between what we hope will happen and what actually goes down. Experts will actually tell you that direct calls usually make things worse. Think about the other parent's perspective for a second. They hear an attack on their kid and on their parenting. Defensiveness kicks in immediately. And the very next day, their kid might corner yours and go, "Why did you tell your mom? I got in trouble." Suddenly, your child is dealing with rumors, backlash, and intense peer pressure. It literally makes them less safe than they were yesterday.
Section 2. Why direct calls backfire. Common mistakes when emotions run high.
So we know the direct approach can backfire, but how exactly does it play out? Well, when our emotions are running high, when we're panicked or angry, we tend to make really well-meaning but ultimately dangerous missteps. And these mistakes are so incredibly relatable. Like calling while angry. Your heart's racing, you want answers right now, but anger just makes us accuse and threaten. Treating the other parent like a judge? Actually, scratch that. They aren't neutral at all. They have their own kid to protect. Or sharing too much private info about your child's struggles. That can so easily turn into gossip. But look at those middle ones. Arranging a forced face-to-face meeting sounds fair, right? No way. A frightened kid will often just agree to anything, even apologize for being bullied, just to escape the room. And using parent group chats, please, whatever you do, never post whose kid is doing this in a class chat. It instantly turns your kid's pain into a public spectacle, forces everyone to choose sides, and spreads rumors like wildfire. So the absolutely crucial point here is that we need to stop and assess the situation before making a single move. Not every hurtful event is bullying, right? Sometimes kids are just rude once, and they own up to it later. We really need to look at the facts. Ask yourself, is there an unfair power difference? Has this happened more than once? Is your child genuinely afraid or unable to stop it on their own? Are other kids laughing or helping the bully? If fear and repeated harm are in the mix, this is true bullying, and you just cannot treat it like a normal family misunderstanding. Now, there are, of course, a few rare exceptions to this. Direct contact is really only reasonable if we're talking about very young friends in a one-time equal conflict where absolutely no child is afraid. And honestly, even then, it only works if both families already know and trust each other deeply. If you do happen to find yourself in this super specific, rare situation, the official guidance is to keep it incredibly short, respectful, and focused entirely on helping the kids, not, demanding a confession. But here are the hard boundaries. You should never call the other family if any of these factors are in play. If there are threats of serious physical harm or weapons, if there's any sign of sexual behavior, hate-based harassment, or blackmail, if the other family has harassed you in the past, and perhaps most importantly, if your child is terrified of payback. Seriously, if your kid begs you not to call because they know it's going to make things worse at school, listen to them. In all these scenarios, bypass the parents entirely. Go straight to official channels, program leaders, or even law enforcement.
Section 3. The pause plan. Your structured, proactive response. Okay,
So if calling the other parents is usually off the table, what do you do? Well, you don't just sit there, you use strategy. Let me introduce you to a really effective, proactive framework called the pause plan. This is exactly how you take all that protective energy and channel it into something that actually builds a fortress around your child. Here's how it breaks down. P is for protect first. Check for immediate danger, injuries, or online threats. Are they safe to go to sleep tonight? A is assemble the facts. Write down a timeline. Save those screenshots, texts, and witnesses' names before they just vanish. U is use the right adult channel. Go to the neutral adults, the teacher, the principal, or the coach. S means set a safety plan. You want to ask the school exactly what changes they're going to make to keep your child safe today. And finally, E is escalate safely, because if the first adult doesn't help, you move up the chain of command, keeping a written record the whole way.
As you kick off this plan, your child is going to be watching you very, very closely. They might actually be terrified that you're going to make it worse. So you look at them and you say this: I believe that something is wrong and I am going to help. We will make a safe plan first. Reassure them that they did not cause this behavior. Promise them you won't call anyone in a fit of anger and that you will carefully protect their story. They just really need to know that you're taking action, but that you aren't going to make them the center of an explosive adult fight.
Section 4. A safer path forward. Communicating effectively with the school.
This brings us to a safer path forward. We know we have to use the right adult channels, which usually means the school or program leaders, but how you communicate with them, that makes all the difference in the world. You want to be seen as a collaborative, logical advocate for your child, not someone who's just there to store up drama. Here's a perfectly crafted way to phrase that message to the school. It's objective, clean, and direct. You state that you saved the information. You clearly state you are not contacting the other families so you don't increase pressure on the kids. And most importantly, you ask for a safety and monitoring plan for your child. Look, you aren't demanding to know how the other kid will be punished. Schools usually can't legally tell you that anyway. You are demanding to know how your child will be protected today and exactly when the school will follow up with you.
But wait, what happens if the other parent decides to call you first? Maybe word got around. Your heart might literally drop into your stomach when you see their name on caller ID. If this happens, take a deep breath. Do not argue. You don't have to answer every single claim they make. Just gracefully and neutrally deflect. You can say something like, I know we both care about our kids. Because this involves school, I've asked the school to review the facts and manage the communication. It's that simple. And if they get insulting, just hang up and save the messages. You don't owe them a debate.
Section 5. Your 72-hour response plan. Taking action day by day.
When you're right in the thick of a crisis like this, time can feel like it's just spinning totally out of control. So, to give you a feeling of stability and forward momentum, let's break down your actions into a structured timeline over the first 3 crucial days. In the first 24 hours, your only job is to listen, check immediate safety, save the proof, and write things down. Do not post online. In the next 24 hours, you make your move. You report it to the school, and you demand those immediate safety steps, including a single trusted adult your child can go to. By the 72-hour mark, you're checking in. Has action started? Has the behavior actually changed, or did it just move somewhere else? If it's not working, you escalate to the next responsible person on the ladder.
Okay, once you pass those first 3 days, you transition into what we call the 7-day check. For 1 week, just keep a really short daily note. How is your child sleeping? Are they getting stomach aches? Are they scared to go to school? You can ask them gently, hey, did you feel safe today? Then, at the end of that week, you send a short update to the school focused entirely on change. Is the behavior stopping? Is my child safer? Because holding the school accountable requires exactly this kind of calm, steady, documented follow-up.
Look, I know it feels deeply, deeply unsatisfying to not pick up the phone and confront the parents who raised the kid who's hurting yours. It feels like you're just doing nothing. But I really want you to take this to heart. Choosing not to call the other family is not doing nothing. It is a highly calculated, strategic choice. By collecting facts, using responsible adults, and demanding a clear safety plan, you are actively choosing the absolute safest path to fiercely protect your child. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final grounding question. Whenever you feel that hot surge of anger, whenever you just want to fire off an angry text or write a huge venting post on Facebook, stop and ask yourself this. Is my true goal to defeat another parent or to make sure my child is safe? When you focus entirely on your kid's safety, the right path becomes so much clearer. You have the tools, you have the pause plan, and you definitely have the strength to handle this. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and stay strong out there.